question says, how do I get around showing my age in a virtual interview? I've submitted a resume that includes the last 16 years, 2 jobs at my current employer, and I am getting initial interviews. I feel like once they see me, I'm being counted out because I'm older. As a result, no follow-up interviews. Any suggestions? So this is a great question. Age discrimination and ageism is a real thing. Okay, it happens, but it also is, it's really impossible to prove, that age discrimination is the reason why someone is not hired or not invited back for a second interview. So I don't want to discount the feelings around the potential of age discrimination. That being said, I also do have to put on my career coaching cap and say to you, age is not something that you can change. Unless you're Benjamin Button, your age is going to become evident at some point in the future. So trying to really hide it or disguise it in some way, it ultimately backfires because always it will be found out. So what I'd like to say is any company that is going to count you out because of your age is not a company where you could thrive. That if that company counts you out because of your age, okay, move on to the next one, because there are many companies that want people who have experience, that don't see age as being a negative thing. So what you need is you need to be in an organization where your age is a benefit to you. So I like it that this person said, I included the last 2 positions that I had, which accounts for 16 years, because it's kind of showing some thought in the resume process, because even though we can't hide our age, we still don't necessarily have to advertise it by having, 30 years of experience listed on our resume. Instead, we want recent and relevant experience on the resume, which it sounds like this person did. In the fact that this is a virtual interview, what I'll say is that there's things that you can do to just present yourself in a way that you feel more confident with. Because I think a lot of times age concerns comes down to confidence. And so things like get yourself a nice camera on your computer. Some of you have been attending my sessions for a long enough time that you noticed when I switched over to a nicer camera, and my nicer camera doesn't show as many flaws on the face, right? Like it's a little smoother. And I think that's helpful for confidence. So invest in a nice camera, get some good lighting. These things aren't all that expensive given how they can positively impact your confidence. Make sure you've got an angle that you think, works well for again, that presentation of self. And then the final thing I would kind of say about this age concern is to think about it from the perspective of like, what's the real concern around age? And ultimately for me as a coach, the 2 concerns that I've heard from employers boil down to, there's a concern that older candidates are not digital natives, meaning that you weren't born with a cell phone in your hand the way the younger generations were. So as a non-digital native, how can you demonstrate your tech savvy, to overcome that concern? And then the other concern is a concern around, I would say, for lack of better words, health and energy. That there's that kind of stereotypical concern that an older candidate might not have quite as much energy as the younger kids and might have more health concerns down the road. So how can you demonstrate your energy, your enthusiasm, and along with that kind of comes that like open-mindedness to new ideas, willingness to learn new things. all of those types of traits. How can you demonstrate those things in your interview to combat some of those stereotypical concerns? The last thing I would say about age too is don't let it psych you out, because I've heard from so many people that once they kind of get it in their head that there's this, ageism is happening, they start, letting it play havoc on their confidence, right? Remember that you never know why you haven't been invited back for another interview. It's definitely worthwhile assessing your interview skills and how you've been presenting yourself in that initial interview, because it might not have anything to do with age at all. It might have something to do with something else entirely. So make sure that you're really honestly evaluating the situation too, and not just leaning into age as being the reason.